Can we just click checkbox?
Sorry, what was that, Daryl?
Can we just click that checkbox, the sign up checkbox when we
Yeah,
create a user?
yeah, it's a really wonky UI, but how you sign up is you click this checkbox, you type in a new user, and if you, I said it was a wonky UI because not only is it like very not responsive, but um, yeah, you have to do this little weird check thing, and when you do click on it, you don't get like any kind of visual response saying or showing that it did anything, right? So let's look here. I'm gonna delete this token in my local storage. So now I have no token. I'm gonna sign up as a new user 52. I'm going to hit submit. We don't see anything, right? Like we got no response, not even in our oh yeah, we got a console log at the very least. User password submitted. And if we go back to application, now that I'm signed up, at least I hope so, I can uncheck this box, which turns this whole thing into a sign in form. Okay. So now I'm gonna hit submit. I got my token. So I'm signed in.
Is anyone else getting a key and token when you do it that way? Because I'm not.
I was.
Cool. And Allison, are you able to click on the get info to retrieve wine?
Yes.
Cool. What are you seeing, Kim?
Oh, I closed down. I was going to try it again. Okay.
Okay.
Click sign up box, put a username in, put a password. Is there any kind of limitations on the password?
I don't know. Not I didn't manually put anything in, so I have like a two-character password here, just PW.
Hmm. So I'm just not seeing anything in application and on console. I'm just getting a 400 error.
Oh, interesting. What's the 400 error say?
Oh, just error HTTP error 400 username with, oh, already exists. Okay. Let me
Oh,
try a different username. Should have read it better. There we go. Okay.
oh, you got it. Cool. Yeah. So this is the simple app. So what you're gonna push today or something similar. Um, we'll walk through the README, which might need to have a few additional things added to it. So like we noticed just a few minutes ago, as Sean pointed out, there are no additional branches in Wine API. So, oh, this is my fork. So I can push something actually. So let me just go ahead and push that. So some of the additions are an admin.py to accounts, apps.py. Okay, all of this should be from previous fork. And I don't want to push this to main. I definitely don't want to do that. So let's letting me create a branch from here. So I'm just gonna manually create a branch. Let's start with that. Or do I not have permission? Okay, no, there we go. This one's gonna be called Compose V2 Start. There might be some differences from the recent repo, but I ran through and got this to work. So if you do run into anything, just call it out and we'll work through it together. So I'm going to create this new branch. Going to have to refresh here probably. And I'm going to select this. I'm going to push from my Compose V2 start. All this looks good. And Where is the confirmation button? Maybe I don't have permission to push. This is really weird. See a lock symbol here. Well, that just means that should just mean it's private. That's really weird. Let me see if I can see something different going from my screen.
I mean, I see the new branch you just pushed up
Okay, yeah, but it's not letting me push the changes to it. So
to main.
no, I want to put it I want to push it to the new branch because I definitely do not want to overwrite.
Oh, you made a new branch off of main and you're trying to push to
Yeah,
version 2.
yeah, exactly. So maybe if I
Don't
can
you need to update the origin of what you have on your local machine to that branch?
I have the origin I do have the origin set to the golf repository, but I also have an upstream remote link set to my fork, and that's where I had pushed the changes. And I should be able to push the changes from my fork to the source repository. Oh, they're entirely different commit histories. That's why. Okay. So yeah, like I had mentioned, because golf doesn't have these additional forks that Jordan didn't pull over, I had to dig back a few cohorts to the Echo DRF line in order to get these changes up. And it might have been the previous instructor, Chad's decision, last cohort in Foxtrot, not to move those additional branches over. And so if he didn't do that, which he didn't because they're not in the Foxtrot repo, then that would explain why we don't have them in golf either. So it's not letting me push because they're entirely different commit histories. So let's see. I can do a very manual thing, I guess, or I'll try it your way, Sean. I'm going to try pushing directly to the origin, unless the origin is Echo. So let's take a look. Let's see what I have.
Yeah, because what I'm thinking off the top of my head is you have all the changes on your local machine. You change your local machine within Git to the origin of that branch.
Mhm.
And since I'm hoping since you create it and you have write privileges, it'll just update it.
Okay. So this is actually forked from the Echo Platoon and not the Golf. So what I can do is I'll go over to lost it. How do I get, am I sharing yet? Why is this thing still hovering here? It's showing me like the big number 1 on the screen. I can't click behind it. Right, so let's copy this. Let's make a new project. I'm in somewhat the right directory. Okay. Um, golf wine. Get a clone. And go inside here. Let's see. What is the best way to do this?
I haven't
What-
been watching what you're doing because I was trying to get my key to work, but I was able to clone it and then go into the compose v2 start branch. But is that not what we need? Is that not the current code? Is that what you've already done?
Oh, where are you cloning from?
The just the regular repo. The
Oh, one. Oh yeah. I had just created that like right now, and it doesn't have any new changes yet
oh, gotcha.
because
Sorry.
it turns out that I I have been working off of the Echo Platoon DRF-wine because these branches were removed from Foxtrot, which is why they're not in Golf. So now I'm trying to think of the fastest way to get all of this over. And I think I'm just going to straight up. This is everything though. Like if I copy everything, it's going to include all of the changes from today's demo, which I guess is fine. So you'll at least have that for the challenge. And what I can do is I'll copy the Docker file, the accounts directory. There might be some wonky things here where we'll have to do a bit of cleanup. Docker compose. I don't think we would have touched the manage.py. Might have touched requirements.txt. I don't think I touched setup.py either. Let's do a comparison here. Setup.py has only these 7 lines. Okay, that should be the same. Okay, so that's just the script to populate the database. Wine API may or may not have changes. Wine API, wines, both of those are directories. So it might just be faster to delete them and copy over the ones I have. So let's do these first. And it's going to be one directory up. Then I'm going to go golf wine and then DRF wine in here. Yes, it is a directory. So I'm going to specify that I want everything in this move. I might move it to I'll do the directory separately. I don't want to move everything inside of the directory to this root. So let's make these directories separately. There's accounts, wines API, and wines, and it's actually wine singular. So make their accounts wine API, wines. Let's now copy everything in accounts to this new directory. Whoops. Okay. And it's complaining about it being directory. So I used -r, which I think is short for recursive, so that it will recursively copy everything inside of the directory to this destination. And I'm going to do the same thing for mine API. Mine underscore API. And wines. Okay. I think everything should be good. Like I said, if it's not, then we'll work through it. Okay, my remote is golf. If I do a git status, I have all the stuff that I can add. I'm gonna do a new branch. What is it called? I've got such a bad short-term memory. It is,
The compose V2 start, is that what you're talking about?
yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, it's compose all lowercase, V is uppercase, two, the number two, and then start. S
Okay,
is uppercase. There you go.
cool. So I am going to check out this new branch locally, hit enter, and let's see if it lets me push to origin to compose V2 start. Okay, it's just everything up to date, which is strange. Oh, right, because it didn't actually commit anything, right? So let me actually add everything and commit it. So if I look at status, it's going to confirm nothing's been added. So I could do a git add present working directory. I'm at the root, so it's going to add everything in red. I do a git status to confirm, git commit M to add a commit message. This is everything in compose v2. I think it's actually technically everything inside of compose v2n, but it's just a commit message. So I'll say that. I'll do another push to compose v2 start. And now we can make a pull request. Okay, we don't want it to do main, we want it to do it to. And it's still not letting me because definitely don't want to overwrite the changes in main. And
Is your local version from that version up there? Or is it on a forked version?
this new one is from the source repository. So
Okay.
yeah, I got this straight from Golf. And I think the problem now is I had made this compose v2 start.
I don't remember if you need to remove that one you made off of GitHub in order to push a new branch up, or if it needs to be there already and then you can push to update it.
I think this is I think it shouldn't have existed. But let's see. Let's see if we could force it.
Is there any way to compare the branches without merging them?
Let's see. I don't think so because
That way you can see if your changes are there or not.
yeah. Let's see. So let's try going to compose v2 start. Let's compare. Yeah, it keeps trying to push to main.
Julius,
Yeah.
do you have like uh, a diff software, or does Git have that diff? Because I know after you push it, it'll do a compare. But do you have a diff?
I don't think I can because it's not letting me compare them because they're like entirely different, I guess, branches, right? Like one was made before I even forked it down. And
I
so
guess Git has a diff, but
Well, this is where we would normally see it, right? But it's
okay.
not letting me do that. It's saying though that if that I'll need two different branch names to get a valid comparison. So maybe one other thing I could try is to do a switch here. Uh, Pose V2 start to um let's see, get add. Hmm. Compose V2 2 where saying they are identical. Are they are they identical? It's really weird. So let's see. Let's go to compose v2 start. Okay, so maybe yeah, it looks like it just actually pushed and didn't require a pull request. Okay, so
That's probably because you have write privileges.
yeah, well, we could ignore these messages then. We could ignore v2 start v2. This now has accounts. This now also has the new Docker file. This should have everything we need, okay? So if we go and I'm gonna clean this up here. There's way too many tabs open. I'm gonna just grab the curriculum. Here is day 4, I believe. Oh yeah, this was man, VS Code. My Mac is being really weird. Let me stop sharing and reshare because it's really bugging me how this big Zoom thing is not going away. Not use computers today. I lost there it is. Still there. It's still like blocking my screen. Okay, cool. It's gone. All right. So yeah, let's get out of here. We are in week 15, day 4. All right, so you all should have access to these latest changes now. It's basically grabbing everything from the beginning to, well, the start of this lesson. So everything prior to this, which means that accounts sub-project, which wasn't there before. And it also has a new Docker file. It also has the new Docker Compose, and that's what these are, right? So today's lesson starts off by walking through how we would use something like GUnicorn to automatically serve the Django application, right? Because what we did before was we still had to manually run Python manage.py run server, right? So with GUnicorn, we don't have to do that anymore. GUnicorn is going to run the application for us. And this is exactly what we want because we want to automate as much as possible, right? which is why we're containerizing the Django portion of the full stack application, and we are including it into the Docker Compose. So now when we spin up Docker Compose, it's not only going to spin up the database, but the Django application as well. And when it spins up the Django application, we could see that it's going to copy everything over from our requirements.txt. It's going to install those requirements. It's going to install the rest of the project files. Or sorry, it's going to copy the rest of the project files. And then it's going to run this gunicorn command, which will bind um, everything that's being served to port 8000. It's going to open up these workers. And with that running in the background, we no longer have to manually run servers. So we add gunicorn to our requirements.txt, which means we'll also have to, no, we shouldn't have to actually install that locally either. They'll get installed in the container when it gets spun up. And we'll also want to update the databases in the settings. This is what we're changing. Before, the host said localhost, right? But now we're changing it to DB because we're no longer going to be looking for the database on our local host, right? We're going to be looking for the database inside another container entirely. And that container is going to be called DB according to our Docker Compose. Okay, everyone tracking so far? We spin this up. We should be able to make migrations and then see it locally. I did push all of the changes that I've also made since, so I can't really run this right now. If we go into my Docker Compose, we'll see that there's actually additional stuff, right? So now this is actually the latest version as well, where instead of just running gunicorn, we use Nginx in addition to gunicorn. So what is Nginx?
Hold on one second. Can I just catch up to you real quick to figure out exactly what's going on? So we basically your V2 that you just put up was all the changes already applied under the review section in this repo, right?
Yeah, this
That you
entire,
just went over.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so when we go to Wine API and we clone it onto our personal, and then we go to your branch, we'll have all those changes already implemented in that branch.
Yes, that.
Okay.
Plus,
And now if we want to follow along with you, that's where the injects part comes in.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So it has all those changes plus everything else inside of the README. So it actually should be called V2End because that is a branch here as well.
Does
Like,
anybody that wants to type along, are they still trying to catch up?
I am. You can't fork it, right? Because we already have one with that.
Yeah, I was trying to do that. So I just went to the original Wine API that they have on Gulf, the Gulf repo, and I just cloned it down. So that way we have the branches because I don't know how to sync up ours
mhm.
in our GitHub with theirs. So I have
Yeah.
Julius's branches and
That's
I
what I was
don't want to
trying to
waste time
do.
doing it.
That's what I was trying to do. So I'm not here. I didn't hear a single word you were saying, Julius.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
Okay.
yeah, go to
You
the
know,
Golf Platoon Wine API. I can get you the link if you need it.
yeah.
I
And do you
think
want your screen, Kim, and we'll talk you through how to fetch it?
I think I've got it here. I just need a second.
Okay.
Yes. When you download it, or when you clone it and you have it in your VS Code, then you're going to need to do git checkout. What was it? The compose v2 start
Mhm.
is the name of the branch you're checking out. And at that point, you'll have all the updates
I'm
because
just
you'll be
gonna
on that branch.
never mind. I'm just gonna watch. I can't get there right now.
Okay.
I've cloned wrong things and I'm just frustrated. So I just need to watch.
Okay. Yeah, well, Sean, do you mind copying and pasting that command to the Zoom chat? Yes.
Oh, to
out.
Basically the cloning down and then the branch change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do
So
that right.
cool. So everyone will have it as a reference. So yeah, that's yeah, I think I must have just glossed over that. Once you fetch the latest changes from the Golf repository, fetch will pull down the branches and the additional uh, diff history, which will allow you to check out into that new branch. So unfortunately, it's also going to have everything in the README, so it's technically V2 end that we're cloning over. But we'll talk through it anyway, and we'll spin up an EC2 and work through it. So what's happening here with Nginx is Nginx is a reverse proxy that will kind of abstract away some of the like the port mapping and like the passing of information between the different parts of our application, right? So now when requests go to Nginx and Nginx sends those requests back to JUnicorn, we'll no longer need to set up cores within Django, right? So this bypasses everything that we did last week where we set up cores middleware and set up specifications for what hosts we want to allow, what kind of headers and requests we want to allow. We'll still have to do some of that configuration in Nginx, but it does simplify the process and it is more secure than just serving through Unicorn alone. So how do we do this? We create a new directory called web server, and this will have its own Docker file. What this Docker file is, it just grabs the official Nginx image, and it's going to be the Alpine version of that image. It's then going to copy over a configuration file that we create into the configuration file directory that Nginx uses by default inside of the container. And this configuration file is fairly simple, at least the first part of it. And what we're doing is we are specifying an upstream API as being port 8000 because our Django application with JUnicorn is using port 8000. If we scroll back up to the JUnicorn configuration, we see inside of the Docker file for the API that we were binding to port 8000, right? So there's a match there. Basically, this is sending requests upstream into JUnicorn. Pay attention though to this API because it's going to be important. We'll have made some changes to the files as well because there's now going to be additional routes, right? Before, when we were hitting things like the get account, get wines, we were just hitting them at /wines or /accounts. We're now adding this API. We're prepending these URL paths with an API, so that becomes the new endpoint. That way, it's going to hit Nginx, and Nginx will be able to pass that on to JUnicorn. And with this new Docker file, we can add to our Docker Compose so that Docker Compose will spin up all three parts of our application together. It's going to spin up our Django API backend. It's going to spin up our Nginx front end, and it's going to spin up our Postgres database. Okay. You'll remember this from last week. We are using the wildcard to specify that we want to allow hosts from any origin or source. And again, we are updating the paths inside of the urls.py with API. So if we run this locally, go ahead and do a Docker compose up. Well, let me actually make sure that nothing is spinning. Okay, I guess I still had it running locally. So I'm going to do a Docker compose down so it's all nice and clean. We'll then do a Docker compose up. Compose up the dash dash build and D4 detached. This doesn't have the web server. Okay, I guess we do have to make the web server. So let's go ahead and make a web server directory. Okay.
Yeah, because that's where we're starting, right? We went through the review, and now we're at the part where we got to make this whole Nginx piece.
Yeah. I thought I had added this though,
I
but
mean, it's part of the lecture kind of walkthrough, so I would hope you didn't, so we can actually go through it with you.
I'm glad I didn't. I thought I did, but I'm glad I didn't. Okay, so cool. So now we do actually have to create this. We're gonna make a directory called web server. Let's go into that web server directory. Oh, right. Code is for making a file, right? So let me delete that. Don't want to make a web server file. I want to do a make directory for web server. And then now I can cd into that directory. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make that Docker file, right? So let's go back up here. Let's copy this. And let's make a Docker file. Again, this Docker file is a super simple Docker file. It's going to grab the official Nginx image, and it's going to copy over a configuration file. That's all we need for now. So, got my Docker file. Now we need that config, right? So let's go ahead and make the config. We're just going to call it default.conf. And we're also going to copy over everything inside of here. We're setting an upstream API, mapping it to the same port that GUnicorn is using. We're then setting up a listener on port 80, which is the default port for HTTP connections. And we are setting up an API path that we will be using a proxy that we will pass requests through to get to GUnicorn. So let's save. Now we have our web server files. And now we could add this to our Docker Compose if it's not already there. So let's look at a Docker Compose. And let's pretend it's not there. It's not there, so we copy it in there, right? Now, I had mentioned that with Nginx, we can simplify some of the setup, right? So we no longer really need to map these ports. We no longer need to map the ports 5454 to 5432 for the Postgres database. Nginx will, well, we already saw that, right? We saw that in our configuration, we were specifying port 8000. And inside of the GUnicorn configuration, we're also specifying port 8000. So that's why we no longer need to map these ports together here. Okay, so let's save. And this should already be here, but it's good to just go ahead and double check everything, right? So let's now go over to our Django files. I'm going to open up wines settings.py. And let's make sure we have allowed hosts set to all. I'm also going to go ahead and set this to false. This is just going to minimize some of the logging that we see in the terminal. Might not be necessary, but if we do run into issues, it might make troubleshooting a little easier. And I think that's it. I don't think we need to add anything else. So I'm double checking to make sure that host is changed, because again, we're no longer looking for the host on our local machine. We're looking for the host for the database in another container, and that container is going to be called DB according to our Docker Compose. And we are changing this. I believe this was 5454 before. We're changing this to 5432 now, which is why we no longer have to map those ports together inside of the Docker Compose. Okay. Right. So instead of configuring the Django settings to look inside of 5454 and then mapping that to 5432 inside of this compose file, we're directly setting it to 5432. So that's why we can leave out that. And again, we could also leave out this inside of the Django configuration in our Docker Compose. Okay. So now, if we try to Docker Compose build, up dash dash build with a dash D for detached, should start building. While that's building, I'm gonna grab some coffee.
Sean, I presume you're catching all this. Is the reason we have to do the dash dash build because we have a Docker file in there, and which we haven't been having lately?
Yeah, I think you got to build the image.
Okay.
Where before we were just bringing it up and making a container off of it, I think. The question was, we got to build it first. And why do we got to build it first instead of just doing Docker Compose up now?
So we wanted to read the Docker file.
Docker Compose will build from the Docker files.
Oh, okay. It's because before we just did Docker Compose up because we didn't have any just Docker files. So now we got to build because we have Docker files.
You should have always had Docker files.
Well, there's sometimes where we had with our local host and everything and pushing it up to Docker desktop is we didn't have Docker files. We just had the Docker Compose YAMLs. So we would just do Docker Compose up and then it would make the container too. So we can query and do everything from there. But now that we have files called Docker file, that's why we got to build.
Julius, and I think what's being missed maybe, Sean, at the top of that Docker file, there's the build command, right? There's build, I mean, that build.
The from and copy. We have two Docker files now, right?
Yeah, yeah. Let me think. Does the DB have a Docker file? We have one for, yeah, we have one for, yeah, we have two. Right. We added one for Django so that we could specify the GUnicorn command that is supposed to serve Django for us. And then we have a Docker file for the front end, which copies over the configuration into Nginx. And Nginx will spin up on its own. That's just how this image is going to work. So we don't have to pass in like a command to run this, right? Um, so that's why we have Docker files that we have to build now.
So it's because we're adding the front end, right? Up until now, we've just been doing the back end, so we didn't need the Docker file.
Yeah, well, we were actually also running the back end manually too, right? We were using manage.py run server, right?
And that's what the Nginx takes care of for front
Uh,
end and back.
that's what the GUnicorn takes care of. So we did add two Docker files. So before I guess the Docker Compose was only building the database, right? So right, there was no Docker file for that, and that's why we weren't using build. But now we have a Docker file for our Django backend and a Docker file for our front end. And so build is going to just make sure that those images are rebuilt. I just want to make it clear though that we're not using that build command because we have these Docker files, right? Because if we could run Docker Compose up without it, um, build will just make sure that these get rebuilt. Otherwise, if the image already exists on your machine, it's just gonna run it. Docker Compose is just gonna run those same images. So if you make changes to your Docker file and you want to make sure those changes are included, then you'll want to add dash dash build so that it will rebuild and that ensures any changes that have been made will be included.
I'm not exactly sure how far back I need to go because I honestly don't understand why we haven't needed a Docker file for the last, I don't know how many weeks.
Because we were running it manually.
With which commands?
Uh, Python manage.py run server.
That doesn't look like that's what the Docker file is doing, though. I think I'm lost beyond what you could explain right now to everybody. I don't want to waste your time.
Oh no, no, no. It's not a waste of time. I think it's just this one line, right? So let's ignore that. Let's ignore the front end Docker file. Let's just look at the Django Docker file. This all this first part should look familiar. When you're running Django locally, you have to pip install the requirements, right?
Mhm.
And then you run your migrations, you do Python manage.py run server, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You're not seeing it because we're replacing it. We're replacing the run server step with GUnicorn.
Okay. So I probably need to go back to that lesson that introduced GUnicorn because for some reason it seems new to me. I mean, I've heard it, but I haven't been using it every day.
I, has it been introduced before? Because I don't think we covered it last week. And I don't know if it was covered earlier this week. I think it is being introduced today.
No, there was a week where we put it in the requirements list, and
Mm.
I think Homer may have taught that class. It might have been during the Christmas week too, but
It was that
it,
same one that whenever I was trying to mimic it on the Pokemon one, that when I was getting those errors, Sean, when I was like, what?
yeah,
Um, I don't remember. I could look back and see what day it was, but it was briefly like gone over, but it wasn't reviewed in any other day.
Okay, okay, okay. So I think the key thing to know is that GUnicorn is used for serving the application so that we don't have to manually run servers ourselves or use the run server command ourselves.
Okay.
And when we do Docker build, and it goes through all the commands in the Docker file, and it goes command gunicorn. That's basically that whole line is running the server for us, so we can query the database.
Exactly, exactly.
Does that make sense, Kim, a little bit? So now we don't have to type in Python manage.py run server. That command itself is using gunicorn to do that for us.
Okay, it does make sense. Yeah, it's just weird that it was introduced and then we didn't use it. Now we're using it again today. I don't.
Yeah, it was used like once, but we haven't done it in any of our own little practical applications.
Okay. It's just using a feature that makes it easier. Otherwise, we could still go back and do it all the manual way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I wonder if it's not like mentioned a lot because there's not a lot of configuration done for it. Like here in today's lesson, like literally this is all we do. We don't have to manually go in and like configure any settings for it. This is all the configuration we need to do for GUnicorn. And while that serves the back end, we also introduce Nginx as the front end web server. So there's, I guess it's kind of like ramping up the complexity of this really fast because before we just had a database, now we have like three components. But if we spin it up and we look at our local host, we'll get to see what that looks like. So we see it's not found. Why? Because Nginx is now giving us a front end, and our front end isn't actually configured to do anything, right? So that's why we're not seeing a not found. So this is actually a good thing. This lets us know that Nginx is running. Now we could also go to our original routes, right? Like if we try to go to Wines without the API, however, we're not going to get anything. We added the API to our routes. So now we have to add that when we try to hit those endpoints as well. And the same goes for accounts, right? So if we go to accounts, we see a familiar screen. And if we try to do either get token or sign up, we're going to see this really kind of ugly formatting, but let's see if it works for us. So I'm going to say, I don't know, user, I don't know how many users I'm at, 50, 54.
So basically, we had a front end, which we're going to learn next week. It would talk with Nginx, and Nginx would be like, okay, this is where we go first. Like, we wouldn't need to do localhost API. We would just go straight to Nginx, and it would know everything else on the other side.
You would go to the IP address, right? So if we were serving this, we would go to the IP address. But localhost is technically the IP address right now.
Right. That's what I'm trying to understand it that way.
Mhm.
So we wouldn't need to put API because originally you just said localhost and it went to Nginx.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. Nginx will be using like it's kind of like regular file path, right? It's just going to be that forward slash. That's what it's configured to serve by default. It's going to serve that index.html at the root directory, which is that forward slash. And API will represent our back end. So basically anything that goes to API is going to be routed to GUnicorn, to Django. So let's see if we can actually interact with this. I'm gonna make a user, a password. I'm gonna hit this, and it's not, it looks like it's not really interacting with, well, actually, I think I hit the wrong post button. User 54 PW. Yeah, this doesn't seem to be doing anything. User PW for password. Yeah, I really didn't understand this part of the README, what it was trying to say, because I don't see a way to interact with this part. So I did want to go the route of adding a front end because we already had the pieces from last week, right? So if we go back to today's README and we read through this, it says now that when we try to access a resource, we'll have to go through the web server after running migrations and getting a token. But we saw that if we go straight to any of these endpoints, we get a 401 unauthorized because we don't have the token in our local host and we're not able to sign up, right? And if we go to just the root directory, we don't have anything configured here either. So let's make a front end. And we're going to use the same files that we had last week, right? So I think if we go back to week 14, and I'm just going to close. I said I was going to do this earlier and I forgot. I'm just going to close all these extra tabs. It's a lot of clutter. Go back to last week, day 4. This is where we introduced course middleware, and this is where we had a lot of boilerplate code, right? We had an index.html, some CSS, and an app.js. So let's go ahead and create those as well. We're going to make it inside of our web server directory, okay? So inside of web server, let's make a new directory called static because we're serving static files for our front end. And inside of static, let's go ahead and make index.html, styles.css, and app.js. And we're going to copy over everything from last week's README. So index.html, save, styles.css, save, and app.js. All the way at the bottom. Let's just get the finished result. At least finished by last week's standards, and save. We are going to have to make some changes, right? Because if we try to look at this now,
Give us just a minute to catch up. I don't have those files copied over yet.
Yeah, same. I gotta move.
sure. Yeah. Yeah, take some time to copy those over. And once they're copied over, we'll make some changes because right now, if we try to, well, actually, we won't even be able to see anything right now, right? Because we would have to Docker compose down and Docker compose back up. But even if we were able to see this, it shouldn't work because these paths are pointing to an old configuration, right? We no longer need to specify port 8000. We've also added API to our routes. So let's let me know when everyone's here.
I can't do that and listen to what you're saying, so I've got to choose. That's what I feel like.
Okay. Yeah, let's all right, like take a moment to get there then.
Can you repeat which week and day those codes were in?
Sure. That was week 14, day 4. And while you're all doing that, I'm going to check Slack to see if I've gotten anything from anyone yet. Okay, it looks like yeah, Omar just messaged me, so he has given me a link to the assessment, so I'll share all of that later after the presentation. Whoops. Oh wait, no, that was just the calendar. I think you all have access to the calendar. Oh, how was the guest speaker on Thursday?
Informative.
Nice. And there was a double booking or something.
Yeah, we went into someone else's chat for a bit, and the guy was just talking about his coding journey. And it was beyond where we were because it was like all relevant to cloud services. So then we went back to our own and had our guest speaker talk to us.
Okay. Yeah, that was
We're gonna have to adjust this app.js file, right? When you're showing us because it's showing some of the basic fetches
yeah,
are
yeah,
okay. We're gonna have to update those URLs for the basic fetches, right?
exactly.
Okay.
So when we're all when enough are there, like by
Yeah.
a show of hands, can we see how many of us are there?
When you guys copy the app.js, go down to the bottom and copy the last showing the file because I think it's like updating the file as it goes. I think at the very end is like the completed one, I believe.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the HTML and the CSS are that one copy.
Mhm.
And then what do we need to change in there, he said?
Okay.
Nothing yet. He hasn't showed us any app.js changes.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready for the changes, Kim?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, let's do it. So we're gonna change these URLs because they're no longer valid to our situation, right? We're no longer specifying port 8000. Nginx and Gunicorn together are handling that. So the first thing we'll do is we're gonna do a find. We'll do a colon 8000. And then we're just gonna replace the forward slash, the colon 8000 forward slash with a forward slash API forward slash. And that'll just magically change all of our URLs to the right thing. So this is what we want. The HTTP colon forward slash 127.0.0.1 forward slash API, and the rest could remain the same. So you could either do it the way I showed you here or just do it manually. And there's only 3 of them, I think, so it shouldn't take too long either. And once we do that, I'm gonna hit save. I think this should be good for now. We might have to make some additional changes too once we get this up on the cloud. But to run this locally, we're going to do a Docker compose down, and we're going to rebuild so that all of our changes can be included. I think we might have to make one more change to the configuration right now. Me,
And you want to do Docker compose up dash dash build each time, right?
uh,
Because of all the changes we're making.
yes. Um, Docker Compose down should destroy the images. So it may not be absolutely necessary, but it's become a habit for me to just include the build. Okay. So we're also going to want to update our Nginx config. So once you're done with, before you do the Docker Compose up, we're going to also change our default.conf. So we go up one directory, we go back to our default.conf, and we're going to start adding to this configuration. Right now, all it does is specify the API path and sets up a listener for HTTP requests. In between these two sections inside of server, we're going to add these 4 lines, this whole block. So the syntax is a little funky, but it's going to look familiar, right? Down here, we have location API. Up here, we're just doing, let's actually do this line by line, so it's not so much at once. We're adding a new block, and we're just specifying a root path, okay? So instead of /API, it's just /. And then we're going to open up some curly brackets so that we can include some code inside of it. Now, the first line we want to add is going to be the root path. So what we're saying here is when the user goes to localhost / or whatever the public IP is / a root directory, we're going to call this file nginx HTML. And the syntax is a little weird. Like it doesn't look like a regular file path, right? It's kind of like pointing to this, which is actually a location, and then we're specifying the index in the next line. So the index is going to be called index.html. And then we're going to specify a try files with URI. This is basically going to tell Nginx to look in its folder for static files for a match between an index.html and the files that we are including inside of our static directory. So yes, I know the syntax is a little confusing. It's not the most intuitive thing, but this is how we configure Nginx to serve the files inside of our static directory. So with this, let's do a save. Let's run Docker Compose up. Oh, okay. If you've been seeing this error like I've been seeing,
The install file.
yeah, we
Yeah,
have to get
I deleted it.
okay. I don't know. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why that's inside the requirements. So let's delete that. Everything else should be good. So let's do a Docker Compose build up again.
Yeah, Jordan ran into that when we first started seeing the requirements and how to read them and stuff.
Mhm.
And that was like a couple weeks ago. I figured it would have been changed by now, but
Yeah, I think because I don't know when it must have been last cohort in Foxtrot when that was added to all of the readmes. I don't know why. I have no idea why it was in there, but it wasn't in there in the Echo versions. Okay, so now let's check our host. We're not getting anything. Is our configuration bad? Not even getting that. Okay, so what happened? Be something wrong with the configuration. Doesn't like this at all. So let's see.
That doesn't need any semicolons next to anything, does it?
Oh, yes. I think I'm using semicolons in all of these. Oops. Thank you. So let me Docker compose back down. Oh, let's see. Let's see. Was that in any of the logs and I just kind of like glossed over it? No, it's not. Yeah, it wasn't throwing an error in the logs. So hopefully that is it. Docker compose build up. Dude, still not getting anything. Are you all seeing something?
I'm still building.
Okay.
I'm getting welcome to Nginx.
Okay, nice. So let me see. What did I do? Go to my static directory.
Yeah, I'm getting, I can't find anything.
Oh, it was a little slow here. Yeah, I'm getting welcome to Nginx. It might take a while. Yeah, look, it took a while for me, but it looks like it's now serving. We also still have access to the API routes. Cool. Okay. So we at least now get confirmation that Nginx is running. It's not quite serving our files just yet. Trying to think of what step I must have skipped over. Let's have our Docker file. This looks good. Okay, I do. I think I remember now. I think we have to add one more command to our um, Docker file for Nginx in order to change from this to the index.html that we created. So inside of our web server here, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and let me double check my EC2. And this is what we're missing. So the reason it's not showing any of our files is because we forgot to copy the files over, right? So inside of our Docker file for our Nginx, we're going to copy everything inside of the static directory into this path, right? Because if we go back to our Nginx configuration, just default conf. That's the path that by default Nginx will look inside of, right? So we want to copy everything in our static directory to this path. That way Nginx will know to look for our files inside of that path. And that's where it tries to match an index.html for an index.html that we've copied over to this directory. And that's what it's going to serve. Okay. So let's save. Let's do another Docker rebuild. Oh, that's weird. Telling me that Docker is not running all of a sudden. What's going on with Docker for me? Oh, what is going on? I'm running into some issues. Okay. Well, while I troubleshoot my Docker stuff, if you compose down and compose back up with these changes, let me know if you are able to see your Wines sign-in page.
Yeah, I'm still not getting anything with the local host. I'm wondering if I didn't type something incorrectly in my default.config
Mhm.
file.
Yeah. Do you want to share and we could troubleshoot that together while I try to figure out why my Docker is acting crazy?
I even had it up for a while last time. It's not doing it. I think I had everything right, but I don't know. Did I put a space in somewhere where I'm not supposed to, or did I forget a slash?
Underscore files, URI, index.html. That all looked good to me so
This is
far.
a money sign, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I think that space in front of your line 9 in between forward slash and user.
Oh, like that?
Oh man, my Docker is just hanging. It's not even like shutting down.
Maybe it wasn't reading it as a file path with that space in there, or maybe it was putting the space in there and it was wrong.
That's what I'm
On it,
thinking.
let's see, Sean.
You know, I've already been typing these. Can I just do that? Okay, that's what it was. Yeah, I had a space there. That's what the problem was.
Nice.
Sweet.
Cool. Okay. So let me think. Actually, yeah, do you want to share again, Sean, while my Docker's spinning back up?
Sure. I'll be your guinea pig.
Yeah, let's try out those sign-in functions.
Do you
Let's
want the developer tools up to see whatever?
Mhm. Okay, yeah, let's try creating a user. All right, I think we got an error.
In the console? Yeah. No, double slash?
Oh, yeah, if you did the find method to replace everything.
I did. Let me go into, what was it? JS file in the static, which is right here.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. That's a problem. That's a big problem right there.
All right, there's one more, I think, at
Yeah.
line.
There. Yeah. Okay. Because I already had it in there. I didn't need to do the slash afterwards. So I gotta bring it down, bring it back up, correct?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Good thing these aren't push-ups.
I probably need some of those in my life right now, actually. I'll do that after I retire, get back into it. Yeah. Oh. These are developer push-ups. Okay. F5. Sweet. Yeah, nothing saved because they're sign it. Just gonna put S. Okay, now what?
Okay, what's it saying now?
Access to fetch that URL again from origin has been blocked by cores.
Okay, so now this is where we can add some course configurations. So it's going to be very similar to like how we did it inside of Django, right? We're basically specifying the hosts that we want to allow, and we are also specifying the kind of requests we want to allow.
But it's gonna be different how we did it before because we have injects, right?
Exactly, exactly. We're just doing it in Nginx now instead of Django. So let's go over to that. It's going to be that configuration file again. And my Docker just wrapped out on me. It's not spinning back up. I think I'm long overdue for a new computer. But let's go ahead and update that default.conf.
Yeah, what do you want where?
Okay, so inside of this file, we're going to the location API section, and we're going to add a few more lines beneath that proxy underscore pass. And I'm going to just copy paste this into the Zoom chat because I haven't had a chance to add it to the README yet.
Okay.
So let's everyone.
That's freaking out.
Okay, so this is the first thing we're going to add. We're going to specify that we want to add some headers.
Just copy and put it in as is.
Yeah. All right, now let's save and let's try that.
Okay, so I forgot how we did it before. We added a whole new file called middleware that was Python, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then we added these headers in there somehow. I'll have to go back and look at that to see the difference. But in here, we just make a default.config and just throw it into this. Huh.
Yeah, Nginx just has it all in like the same file, so it's pretty simple. And we're essentially like changing the same thing, right? Like we're using a wildcard to specify all of the same, all the that we want to allow any destination or any source origin. And
Getting internal server error,
okay,
JS4.
so it's probably the response.
Syntax error, unexpected token. Doc type is not valid. This.
Yeah, I'm getting that same kind of error.
This should, let's see.
It's saying there's something wrong with this. API accounts sign up. Maybe it's oh yeah, that's sign up. Something wrong in here. It's when it's using this to go through JS4, I guess.
Okay. Yes, I think line 64, we're going to want to add a return to that basic fetch.
No, this one has a return.
Yeah, the other ones have returns, so let's, oh, I'm in front of the basic fetch.
Oh, in front of the base. Oh, because we need to return them.
Yeah.
So, oh, it's body and body. Okay.
Yeah, so when we were running this last week on our local machines, and then we were like seeing that it's not very responsive in the front end, we were able to get by with that because our browser was able to power through it, right? But now Nginx is going to be complaining because of a lot of the bad syntax in this file that needs updating. So
Oh,
let's,
because it's like I need a response. Tell me what this function's doing, right? It's like it's not giving me anything, is what it's saying, right?
yeah, yeah. So there's that. I wonder, I think there might be some other things, but let's just try to work through them.
Yeah. I just looked through all these. They're all returning something. Return, return. Oh, the onloads should be fine, but they're all returning.
I'm still getting the not valid JSON error.
Okay. Yeah, there might still be more that we need to change.
Let's sign up. Basic fetch. I'm saying it's right here. Response equals. Wait,
Let's go ahead and just actually update that entire basic fetch function. So I'm going to paste in a new,
a whole new basic fetch function
it's going to have some additional checking and error logging.
and just replace it
Yeah.
completely. Okay.
So now we're using a try catch block, which should at least give us some additional insight if it still fails.
Response text row.
And I don't think my Docker is going to spin back up. I think I might be out of space on my machine because we're recording and it's eating up what limited space I have.
Okay. All right, F5. All right, now it's going to give us a bunch of info, huh?
Let's scroll up. Okay. Yeah, I think this is why I had set the debug to false inside of the Django config.
Oh, I never did.
Yeah.
Inside the Django settings.py.
Mhm. Okay. So now we are hitting the Django backend and it's spitting back out all of this stuff to us.
So if I put that to false,
Hmm. should get a slightly different response.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. So now it's a little cleaner. And it looks like in line 9 of our basic fetch, we're getting okay. So if the response is not okay, then throw this error. And the reason all your containers are running and
Yeah, there. And this is what my Docker looks like. We got the two images, and it's running this.
oh, can you expand that first one? In the first error. Okay, so that's all it's saying. From line 75. So from the sign up. Can we look at line 75? Right, so we added the return. And now the next thing is line 59. So it's in line 59. Sign up, username, password. All that looks good. Let's go back down to 109.
I don't know if it helps. I'm getting a very similar error, but it's saying credentials is not defined. Does that help? Because
Hmm.
for the user and sign in.
That's interesting. You're getting a different error.
But they're similar because they pointed back to that same line, that name, username, and password. That's why I spoke up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's go back to that line then, that username and password.
That was 15.9, right?
Yeah. And Kim, do you have the same thing there?
All copied the same file, I would assume.
Yeah, I've got the same thing there. And then the get token below that, username colon. I'm not sure which, saying line 49 for me. And that is line.
Let's check all of these endpoints.
It's line 56. So I'm wondering, Sean, where is ours different? Because we should have the same lines even, right? If we cut
You
it.
would think so. I mean, I just pasted in some stuff that he said to paste in. I changed the whole basic fetch because that's what he said to do. Did you do that?
I thought I did. Can you scroll all the way to the top? Maybe we have our top, the top is different.
And I have two lines here, but that doesn't
Yeah, I just
make,
have one line there, which is not that big of a difference.
yeah,
Fetch,
this whole thing has changed now.
got a const create wine HTML on line 19. Oh, so maybe I'm missing that get credentials.
Yeah, that sounds likely.
Is that something you just cut and paste from somewhere?
No, I copied the very last copy of the JS, which should be the most up to date. JS in that that repo.
Got
So
it.
maybe you missed
Mm,
one at the end. You copied the wrong one. I don't. Because then I think get credentials. Where is it used? In one of these. I mean, it has to be.
huh,
I don't know which one though. But oh yeah, here it is. It's in the handle auth is where get credentials is used.
I see it. Look at line 66.
66. Sign up. Uname, password.
Unlike all of the other functions, it's not an async.
Oh, this one used to be. Uh,
I think that needs an async in front of the username. Yeah, right there. And then we'll also want an await inside of the return, I believe. No, what was it? Where did we put the await?
You talking about line 75?
Hold on, sorry. I thought this was. No,
No.
we might not actually need an async in this
yeah,
one.
because it's not calling any functions in here to wait on.
Yeah, yeah. Let's.
So take the async out. Okay.
Yeah, because there's no functions for it to wait on. Like get token has, well, this one's the body equals await basic fetch,
Yeah. Mine is a to async on that line. Looking at my code from the EC2.
but it doesn't have an await function in there for maybe like something equals
Right,
await basic fetch and then return that something.
right. There's no await. There's just that return. So I'm not sure if that async is necessary, but mine does have it.
All right, well, let's try it. I mean, if the code can mess up from a semicolon, then maybe this will do it. Yeah, F5. Yes, yes. Submit. Oh, same. Oh, well, now it's different. The get tokens having an issue because of the async, maybe? No, that's already been there.
Okay. E7.
Basic fetch on 5. And go up. Okay, so you're all still. And then it goes 87, like you were saying. Await basic fetch. Handle auth 61. Huh,
And then 109.
109.
Oh, that's just the on submit. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, because I added the async in there.
Okay. But you were able to sign up now, right?
I mean, that was this. Did I hit the sign up? Oh, let me, I just want to hit the sign up button. Maybe I didn't. Okay, no, I didn't hit the sign up button before. It's still the same issue. 75.
75.
Yeah, we added the async in here, and 75 is an issue, which is the return. Do you think maybe I should put this in a variable that it awaits for this and then return that variable? Kind of
Uh,
like how this body equals await this fetch. I mean, it returns the token, but
you could try it. I just don't have it in mind for the EC2. Fetch.
so nope, still the same.
Okay. Let's try this. I want to see if you run this in your terminal. Um, so it's going to be localhost. Try this curl command inside of your terminal. So let's see if we're getting a response from this endpoint at all.
This quote.
Oh, I think there's a missing quote somewhere, maybe.
Is there? Post the detached.
At the very end, I think maybe after the actually
After
not it. That's not right. Well, it might be just how this thing is copy pasted. Yeah, I think it's how Zoom is
okay.
formed. Try typing it manually.
What's happening What's going on? User, maybe not. That's exactly like it is, right?
Yeah, that looks okay.
Error.
So I think it's actually a Django configuration that might be. Did we need to update inside of Django? I don't think we need to update anything. Oh, try a migration. So inside
Okay.
it would have to be inside of the container, I think.
Um, how do you, so do I gotta bring it down and then,
No, we could do a Docker exec to do that. So let me grab the
oh,
um you'll you should have this exact same container name. If not, change it. But yeah, do a Docker exec dash IT and we'll erf dash wine dash API dash API
okay.
dash one. Cool. And
Well,
Python manage.py migrate. Ah, there we go. We never ran our migrate.
okay, so I don't need to bring it down or up or anything because it just did it directly, right?
Right, right.
Huh?
Nice.
Okay, and now just to check that. Okay, so all those changes, because I always thought the make migrations and migrate were for models, but I guess it's for,
It's for the user model, I think.
okay,
The accounts model.
okay, which would make sense because we copied everything and I never, okay, that makes sense. And then what in here should be
Mhm.
a token, no?
Yeah, there should be. So, and it
No.
didn't give an error. So let's see what's going on here.
That's what was happening to me before. I didn't see a token, and then when I just put after I did sign up, I did this, and it worked, but I guess it's not.
Not working now.
No.
Okay. And it's not return. Oh, it is returning some errors now. So let's look at our errors. I think we should be where we want to be now, actually. Okay. So now we can confirm that we're getting like this new course error, right? So what's specifically happening is requests, your browser, when it tries to make a request with an authentication token and it's passing that in, it has to sort of send a precursory request first. So there's like a new request now that we haven't really talked about yet called like an options request. And your browser does this to basically uh, check to see if like the path is good. Like it's asking for permission to send that token, right? So we have to add one more thing to our what is it called? Default.conf. And it's going to be another block, but one specifically for options.
Another location block?
Inside the location block, we're going to add another block of
Okay. Not the API one, but in
actually, let me just double check my file. It might be, I think it is a new one. Let me just double check. At my default conf. Yeah, inside of the location underscore API under where you added the current headers. Yeah, let's add an if in there. And there's gonna be a lot in here. So let me copy paste this into Zoom. Okay. But what this does is it's going to check if the request method is an options request. So it's going to check to see if it was sent by the browser for authentication. And it's going to add those headers specifically for that. So if you save and you compose down and you compose back up,
Oh, okay. So basically, if the request is an options request, then
Mhm.
it's going to go to here and it's going to look for something specific.
Yes, yes, yeah. And a lot of this is basically just it's hard to explain because it's just kind of like how cores is designed, right? These headers need to be passed in with these requests, and by default, they won't be. So we have to manually configure Nginx to add these additional headers, right? And I added a link to the Zoom chat where you can read more about cores, and there's a very good example in this link for the different blocks that you would add for different kinds of requests. So now let's see if this works.
Oh no,
Okay. Oh,
bad request.
lists. Oh, that may be why we weren't getting a token. So let's try a new user.
Okay. Didn't see any error. Still no token though.
Okay. Let's try to sign in anyway.
There it is.
Okay, cool.
Uh-oh. Now we're getting
Okay, so now we got past the sign up, we got past the sign in, and now at async window onload get info on click line 112 of our app.js 101 and 112. Oh, do you have any wines in the database?
probably not.
Yeah, let's add some wines.
Oh man. Let's see here. How do we do that? I
There's
had
that
this.
wine script that we could run. So in that Docker exec, I think if you, how do we run the setup.py? Do you remember?
Um, some lines. Um, I mean, I might have it right here. Read. I know you do this with whatever data you have dot slash and then you run it, but that I thought was supposed to.
We do that inside of the shell, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it would be like.
Yeah, but we would have to pass it into that Docker command.
Yeah. Shell. I thought it was like something like this. Setup dot and then the file name. I mean, I might be wrong, but we're gonna go for it.
Yeah. Okay. So let's just add that to the Docker command so that we could run it inside of Docker. So if you press up a few times and go back to,
I feel like it just remade something.
ooh, yeah, I think you overrode it. Can you do a Command Z or Control Z inside of setup?
Control. Like just right here?
in the editor, like click in the editor and
Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, that didn't work.
so yeah, press up a few times. Let's go back to your Docker command, the last one that you ran. Okay. So now let's delete that that migrate and replace it with shell. And I think if you maybe if you reverse the redirect symbol, so do that can't carry, yeah, exactly. And now pass in the that file.
Not a TTY. What does that mean?
It's not what does TTY stand for? It's try removing the T inside of IT. Okay.
I want to verify the data's there, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. And now I forget how to get in there with PSQL. So I guess we could, well, because yeah, I don't have a super user. Um,
Yeah. Now it would be the what's the database? drf-wine-api-db, I think.
yeah, one. BR-1-API-DB.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think they all start with dash API.
Yeah. And was it a PSQL here, I think?
Yes.
And
But I think you're missing the dash one. They all say dash one also inside of the yeah, there we go. Yeah, now you can just do PSQL and you might have to pass in the user and the database.
user. Oh, like um, tag D, name of user.
I usually just use the default Postgres. And I
And
think that's
this,
how the compose was set up too. So unless you change it, it should just be dash uppercase U Postgres. And then the database should be wines, one S in Postgres.
so you have to do a tag D for the database though too.
Hmm.
And then
Yep. Okay.
there we go.
Nice.
Okay, what was it? Slash D, and then if I do for the just the database, which was wine API wine, I think.
Yeah.
There we go. Shows me all the characters.
Yeah, let's do a select statement from the
Okay. Oops. Select star um, wine API wine. Okay, okay, they're in there.
cool. All right, let's try it in the browser.
We'll have that token in there. There it is. Okay, it's because I didn't have any data. That's what that server error was then.
Yep.
Well, there's no server error anymore.
Cool. So now you have
So
a working
yeah,
full stack application on your local machine. The last step really is to get it up onto an EC2.
okay.
So let's see. Everything is on your local machine. Do you want to commit all of that to your repository?
Oh yeah, I mean we could do. I gotta set up that up your role because mine's the old one. So if we go to mine, I have to update this because you only have one branch, which is main, which has none of the updates we have. So I have to somehow push this branch up to mine and change the origin.
Yeah, let's try this. So copy that. Let's go over to your terminal. Let's do a git remote add up, and let's name it something else like upstream. Yeah, now paste in that URL. Cool. Now, if you do a git remote dash dash v,
Oh, not get. Um,
now it's showing that you've got two separate remote URLs.
okay, the original, and then this upstream, which goes to mine.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
now
So
if I do a git add, git commit, git push, it'll go to here, right?
yes, if you specify the upstream in your push.
Okay. Well, how do we git push just upstream?
Mhm. And then a branch.
Oh, and then a branch name. Um, I don't have to do tac. I don't have to do branch or anything like that. You just put in what was it?
Yeah, if the branch exists, like, are you on a separate branch right now, or are you on main?
I should be on a separate branch. Yeah, compose.v2.
Okay.
So I
Yeah,
could just push where I'm at, right?
yeah.
And then that should update this. Oh, there we go. Showed me. So now we got to push this branch.
Yeah.
Oh, or not push, but yeah. Okay, so we're gonna what run through this?
Yep.
I need my get this out of here, I guess. We don't need to update that anymore. And I need AWS. Which one was it? There it is. And then how did I do this before? I don't know. I never made this IMA, I guess, because that never works.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, like two-factor authentication. Uh, all right, now we need to make a new instance, correct?
Mhm.
Mm, I think AWS. Yeah, the T2, correct?
Mhm.
And then this is the one that always trips me up is so I have these,
Mhm.
but should I just make a new one?
I would just reuse whatever.
I think this one's good. I'm not sure. See, that's the problem. I don't know. I don't know. But we can. Well, I got the WoW one to work, so but I'll just go with this. See what happens.
Yeah. As long as you have that on your local machine and like they're a match, then it should work.
That's in the SSH file, correct?
Mhm.
So let's check just before we go on and waste time. Oops, it's been tab in there. So that's what I got, api.pem,
Okay.
and this RSA, but I don't know if they're related or anything.
So the IDR RSA, that's probably the SSH key you made for GitHub, right?
Yeah,
So the Django.api, that's the key pair that lets you SSH onto the EC2. And
okay,
ID RSA is what's going to let you clone onto the EC2.
okay. So it looks like it's set up then.
Cool. Yeah, let's
I
go for
mean,
it.
according to what we're looking at. Okay, and then the security protocols. This is always fun to deal with too. We want to allow, right? And,
Yes.
and then there's something we wanted to do with all traffic from here, right?
Yeah,
But we wanted this to be my IP because I don't want anybody to SSH into my EC2 except for me.
right.
Okay. And then I don't think there's anything else we need to do right now.
Yeah, there shouldn't be.
Okay.
Cool.
And then we need to go to it. And we need to go to the security groups of this instance, which security, and then it's in here, if I remember correctly.
What are you looking for?
Like, yeah, I mess with the security groups, right? To see, make sure, because for our practice purposes, we just open it up to everything.
Yeah, yeah. And it looks like it is. It's set up to allow traffic from all sources for ports 80 and 443, and that's HTTP and HTTPS.
Okay. And since this is here, this means like anybody can get there.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
So
So
we
now,
don't need to do anything else
nope,
with that.
now
Okay.
we should be good. Now let's connect.
And then I got to run this in my terminal.
Hmm.
Mhm. Permission denied, public key. I always have this issue too.
Yeah, so you went up one directory, which means you left the SSH directory. So
Oh, it needs to be done in the SSH directory, right?
the way that your command is right now, yes. But you could also just type if you update that path to just point from like let's say tilde forward slash not that in the where the Django.api Django underscore API is being specified, yeah. Add the path in front of that. So inside the quotes, do tilde forward slash dot SSH forward slash. Now this basically tells it to always look inside of your home directory, which is that tilde symbol, inside the dot SSH inside of that directory, and it should always find that key file.
Okay. That's why I was always having the problem because I was never in the SSH when I would run it. Okay. That makes sense.
Cool. Cool. So now, do you remember what we do next?
Well, we need to pip install some stuff into here,
Yep.
like Django. Um,
Yeah, it should be in the week 14 README, and there should also be like a reference to it in the week 15 README. Yeah,
bring
yeah,
this down.
it is. In week 15, day 4, it should be in the deployment section, and we'll have all the commands that you need to run.
Week 15.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, it has it already there. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Hmm.
Install Git, install Docker. Yeah. Okay, so that's all installed, and now we need to clone it, right?
Yep.
Clone it. It's this one branch. So this is going to get confusing. Do I need to update the main branch? I shouldn't,
Yeah,
right?
you could do either or. It doesn't matter here because when you clone it down, you could switch to that proper branch.
Branch, okay. Um, username. Why does it want my username?
Oh, is it the SSH URL that you're using?
No, it's HTTPS.
Yeah, you need the SSH. The HTTPS
Oh,
is
that's right.
expect the pass key.
Oh man, how do I get out of this then? Because
You could control C or control D if that doesn't work.
okay, I know I've already set up an SSH before with something else. So should it work for this new repo though?
There might be one step that you're missing.
Yeah, I think there is. I don't think I can. It can't be established. Are you sure you want to continue? Yes, I guess.
Mhm. It's just gonna like give you another, yeah,
Yeah,
message that you can't.
the public key. So, God, what was that? This process.
So yeah, this is where we basically just add that SSH key to your SSH agent, but you have to get the key up to your EC2 first, right?
Um, um, so the key, the RSA public key, right, needs to go in here.
Exactly, exactly. And we could use the SCP command to copy
Oh,
those files over.
oh, mm, it's the same. That's right. It's the same as SSH, only it's SCP from the SSH folder. So I need to go back, get this, go down, go into my local.
Mhm.
Where did that go? Nope, that's the wrong one. And that's that. So I need a new terminal. And then I need to, but this needs to be SCP, secure copy of this. That needs to be the public key though too, right?
Yes, it's going to be the private and the public key that you pass in.
Um, so yeah, we need this key pair and then we need to put it here. So it's what are those files called? Oh, they're right there.
Yeah.
That's why I did that. I say, and then ID, I would say, oh,
Yep. I think we're going to need a space in front of the first ID
oh
RSA.
yeah, there we go.
Cool. And now you just want to specify the path, the destination path for these files.
Which would be it's a colon, right?
Mhm.
Colon slash. So I'm looking at my notes here. Home EC2 user.ssh.
Mhm.
SSH. Alrighty.
Nice.
Okay. Now we need to do something with the agent. I remember. Did I
Yep.
put that in here? You need to like get the agent going or something. Like turn it on.
Yeah.
Ensure the SSH is running first and internal command eval. Just copy and paste it. Since I have it right here. Eval. Okay, so now the agent is running.
Oh, but you want to make sure it's running on the EC2.
Oh, okay. I'm in the wrong spot. And I'm not in the SSH folder because there's something with that, like not being in the SSH folder. Oh, before cloning. Okay, which I already cloned it outside of it, so that should be fine. Yeah. And then add the key file.
Mhm.
SSH.add in that location.
Cool. Now you should be able to clone.
Yeah, okay. And make sure I'm not in SSH when I clone.
Exactly.
Own and on SSH in the right spot. Okay. Woo!
Almost there.
Almost. All right, now we just gotta Docker compose and all that, right? We gotta get into the file and then
Yep.
okay, and then cd vr. Now everything's in here. So from here, we should be able to just compose. Uh, D, correct? We just run it because everything should work. Say again?
Almost. You're missing a dash. Or you have a space where there should be a dash.
Yeah, mine's always run like that. Oh, that's right. It's different in EC2. But on my personal one, I don't have to put the dash.
Did you set an alias for it?
No, but I just always just installed Docker. But I remember it being an issue in EC2 for some reason. It's like a difference in where what the version is or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's up and now now we should be able to just go to the IP address.
Hmm.
What is the IP address? This.
Yep.
Nothing. Nothing
Okay.
there.
It might be taking a while for Nginx to spin up. But while we're waiting for that, let's also run the migrations.
Oh, I never did that.
Hmm.
So, oh man, that means I gotta exec into it and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Some
Oh,
practice here.
just caught something. Notice how there's only one container in there?
Yeah.
I don't think you have the latest changes running. You should, I think all you need to
Oh,
do
I
is,
never changed branches.
yeah, yeah.
That's right. Docker. Oh yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. My yeah. Okay, so I gotta be able to get check
Mhm.
out. Oop, what was that stupid compose?
Was it compose v2 start?
Yeah, it was. Let's copy it from the repo. There's another issue. Um, switch to a new branch. Okay, so just to check. Cool. So now from here, I have all those updates. So I need to make migrations first, right?
Yes.
Python, oh, because I don't have an alias in here, so I gotta do what, Python 3.
Mhm.
Are you sure it's installed and available? I thought so. How do we? Oh, do I gotta? Oh,
Or you have a few options, right? Like you could either do it before you run Docker Compose up, or you
or
could
I
just,
can exec into it and then run it, right? Because that image will have everything I need.
yes, exactly.
Let's do it that way. Just because I need experience with that execing into stuff. What is it saying now? And I just, oh, I didn't put the damn. See?
Okay. So we'll want to do the migrations. We'll also want to populate the databases, right? So run that setup file again.
Right. Install it. Building a wheel. Sweet.
Cool.
All right. So now we gotta, what was it? Well, I gotta find out what the name of it is. I forget. Yes. There's all my Dockers. IT, and then the name of the API, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, DRF tech API, DRF line tech API tech one, and then we're doing this so we can make migrations. So what was it? I could just write make migrations from here if I remember correctly.
You have to call Python first.
Python, all right,
Yeah. So now it's like when you basically pass in whatever command you would normally run.
got it. UI and then make forgetting how to spell migrations. Migrations. Okay, now and then we'll just do migrate. Okay, and now we need to populate the data. So what's that? Dot slash, no, it's Python manage.py shell like this. And then I forget the name of the file.
Let's just set underscore. Let me double check for you.
Yeah, I think it was this. Now that you say it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Got to get rid of the T
Mhm.
because I don't know what TTY means.
I always forget.
Okay, so yeah, with everything we did before, it should be loaded. So now this should work,
Yeah.
hopefully. Maybe not.
Okay. Let's look at the
Is it because it's not up? No, it's up.
yeah, yeah, it is up, right? So let's look at the dev console,
How do we
the
do?
browser.
Oh, okay.
Okay, are we getting any error messages?
It's not giving us anything. It's not reaching anything.
Are we sure it's an HTTP and not HTTPS? Okay.
Maybe it's because I never even. There we go. That's why. I just put the number in there. I guess I didn't put the beginning. Okay. Now we try this part, right?
Mhm.
Submit.
Okay, cool.
Hmm. course, problem.
Yep. So now we basically have one final thing to change, and that's going to be the paths inside of,
Yeah,
yeah, because if we remember inside of the API.js or app.js,
yeah, it's
paths are set to localhost. So we could edit the Nginx file straight inside the Nginx container. So let's see with Docker exec, and let's replace that container with the one for our web server.
what would that be?
I think it's just drf dash wine dash API dash Nginx. Let me double check the Docker Compose file.
I'm up here. Yeah, API Nginx Tech 1.
Okay. And in here, we want to, I don't know if we have Vim, but let's try it. Let's try a Vim. So let's do a VI, and it should just be, oh, it should be that whole path, I think. So let's do /etc
ETC.
/nginx /conf.d conf.d /default.conf. This is the path that we put inside of our Docker file. So let's try editing that. Cool. Oh wait, what am I doing? I just had a brain fart. Sorry, we're not changing this. We're changing the app.js, right? So this is not what we
Oh,
want.
right. Yeah.
Let's exit out of this.
Exit. How do we?
You could do :q.
Q. There we go.
So we actually want to go inside of Nginx, or sorry, user share Nginx. It's that second copy command that we want. I think we might want a / in front of user and Nginx forward HTML / it's the app.js file that we want specifically.
Like that.
Mhm. Okay. So now you have two options. You could either hard code your IP address into everything, or we could set a variable to grab the IP address. So if we want to do it the more programmatic way, that would be to set a variable. That way, even if your IP address changes, it will, all the routes will still work, right?
Well, that makes sense.
So at the very top, let's add a new line and
No,
let's,
what was it? How do we edit this?
oh, I, and just hit I. It should go into insert mode.
Oh,
Cool.
there we go.
Now let's set a new constant. So const, and let's call it base underscore URL.
Base
Mhm.
underscore URL.
And let's set this to window.location.protocol. I think you have an extra A in there.
Yeah, I do. Fingering it.
And we're going to do some string interpolation here. So let's do an at symbol +.
Symbol.
Or sorry,
Plus.
not at symbol. Let's add +. I meant to say +. I think you might need a space. I'm not 100% sure, but let's add a space anyway. And let's do a single quote / close quote. And now let's also add the window.location.host with a + in front of that as well.
In front of location or window?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so this should set our base URL to the IP address. Now, inside of all of our lines of code where we set a URL, we basically want to replace localhost with this new variable.
Okay.
Yeah, so there should only be 3 lines where
Yeah. What were they? Where were they? They were. Okay.
okay.
Like this one right here, sign up, right?
Yep.
And base URL just goes in this whole thing.
It's
No,
going to replace the 127.0.0.1.
that means we need to interpolate base URL into here, correct?
Yep.
So this is it's money signed, if I remember correctly, backticks, correct?
Backticks should be around the entire thing. So instead of the double quotes, let's do
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Oh, entire thing. And then this will be money sign. Heard if you don't use it, you lose it. So there we go. Like that, right?
Yep.
Can I just copy this?
Unfortunately, not in Vim. I don't think so.
Well, we're gonna try. Anyways, but you're probably right. Oop, it went all the way to the top. Yeah, I think you're right, because it just messed with it. Insertion, yeah. Okay, there's the next one. I gotta hand type it, lame sauce. Oop. Oh, okay, yeah, that one's good.
Okay.
And then one more. There you are. One. Where was it? Oh, okay.
Cool.
Now we need to save this.
Yep.
So it's just escape, right? If I remember correctly, to get out of insertion.
Mhm.
Why is there an I here?
Oh, that might have been from, yeah, let's get rid of that.
It's not letting me.
Oh, maybe that's just I don't know, maybe it's just Vim bugging out. Yeah, yeah, okay. Looks like it's just Vim bugging out. Oh, but you lost the
Yeah.
let's go back to
Uh,
mode and
yeah.
add that closing parenthesis to that last line because that's going to throw an error. Yeah, Vim is not great. This is why a lot of folks prefer Nano.
Why isn't it not? It's not letting me do anything now. Now it's all.
Hit escape again. Oh, maybe you're not in insert mode. Try pressing I.
Yeah. See, I'm like stuck in this like typing and down here, and I can't go up.
Yikes. Try Control C.
Control C.
Wow. Try a colon. Wow, it's all.
On Q. God damn it. F you, Vim.
Okay, let's try Control D. That might exit us out completely though. So let's see. Let's
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
And wow.
This is in my EC2 instance, so shit. I feel like we should just close this out and re-get into it
We
without saving it.
might have to. So like no, you tried enter, you tried escape, you
That's
tried
enter. It still got me in there. See,
Control D. Let's try, and you tried Q already.
Q, colon,
Cool.
Q, enter.
Try
Still
Control D twice.
nothing.
Control C twice. Yikes.
You try colon quit, spell quit out. Did you try that already?
That still got me in there. I think we should just redo it and not save it and hope it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Close it. It's just what a great, what a great program. Where was it? Where was my, oh, there it is. This is my EC2 instance. Connect. Oops.
Yeah. Something else you could do and to avoid having to do to use Vim is to update it in your repo and just pull those changes down. But it's up to you which
Yeah. Where you go? Where we got pushed? Yeah. This would be, I'm gonna have to update the what was that command again?
it's going to be window dot um, location dot protocol. Okay. And then you could complete that, add and single quote forward slash and window dot location dot host.
Okay, and then I need to put base URL in every spot that has this.
Mhm.
Then I need to interpolate it.
Oh, but you don't want to copy the entire thing, right? You're gonna lose the
Oh yeah, you're right. True. I just want this. Well, I'll mess up each one. So maybe I'll just put those in. There. Okay, 3. It's saved. Then wasn't there something else we had to do with I don't, oh wait, no. We already did that with the conf.
yeah, no, that was just me.
Yeah, that was earlier. Okay. All right, so the base URL would be caught and it'll go to these specific functions to return. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now, let's see here. So this is in, so we only have that URF. And then I should be able to do a git pull from, well, as long as I'm on the right correct branch. So I'm probably on, oh, cool, I'm on the right branch. There we go.
Cool.
Okay, so now, since the Docker's still up, correct?
Yeah,
I have to bring it down and bring it back up, right?
right. And all of our changes to the database should persist through Docker volume, so we shouldn't have to run any migrate or set up that py again.
Mm. It says it's off. Taking its time again.
Maybe.
That was the old one. That's right. I had it up here. Oh no, because I didn't have this in front of it. That's what the problem is.
Okay, cool.
I was just copying the numbers, the address without HTTP. Okay, and now hopefully
All right, I see an error. Might be that the user exists already, hopefully.
name not resolved.
Hmm. Oh, why is it saying HTTP twice?
Why? Why are you doing that?
Let's see. Ooh, yikes, that's on me. Yeah, I should have told you to delete that.
This?
Yeah, because the
Okay.
first part of the base URL is,
It's in there when we put it in there, right? So when we do HTTP, like okay, so we need to just get rid of HTTP colon. It's already doing.
we could also, I think we could also just get rid of, if you go all the way up to base URL, we are defining it. We might
Yeah,
also be able to delete the first two parts and just leave window.location.host.
like this.
Yeah. So let's save that.
Yep.
Oh, and if you want, you could just do that in Vim inside of your EC2. So you know, like, or you can do it there and like hold down also. That was pretty fast. So either.
Yeah. Dealing with Vim. Mm, mm, and then upstream. And then where's this guy? We'll do Docker compose down. Oop, I forgot the dash. Gonna need to take lunch here soon.
Yep, almost there.
Docker. Oh, no, get full update. Application, no key yet, but no error at the same time.
Okay. I think uncheck. Yep, sign up, submit again.
There it
Ooh,
is. So we signed up, I didn't get a token. Uncheck submit and sign submit, or uncheck sign up, and then I get a token.
yep.
Now it's working.
Nice.
Yeah,
You got a full stack application deployed to the public.
excellent. Okay.
All right, good stuff. I'm gonna update today's README with all this additional stuff. And I'm also gonna release the assessment with the URL that Omer gave me. And we've been here all morning, so let's go ahead and break for an early lunch. there isn't going to be a recording, or I mean, not recording. There is going to be another lesson, so you'll have all of afternoon just get started on the assessment